Okay, good morning. Today I'm gonna be teaching you guys how to bypass the pressure sensor. This is gonna be the part 2, with the first part, which is more very in-depth detail, is the one which I illustrated in the video which I have in my channel. So if you haven't watched that, go and watch that. It's gonna be the part 2. Guys, good morning. How are you doing, guys? This is Dr. Fix. On today's edition, we're gonna be getting Audi A4 pressure sensor bypassed. Okay, for most of you who are new to my channel, if you're new to my channel and you are actually trying to watch this episode of pressure regulator pressure regulator bypass on AC system, I think you might want to watch the previous video which I did about Toyota. In this case today, I'm gonna be bypassing Audi A4 2006 model pressure sensor, and it's gonna be looking like this. So in this situation, if you have this kind of pressure sensor, we have 3 wires. It's often very confusing most time if without a wiring diagram to know which one is actually sending the power. Although we can be able to tell that the brown with yellow tracer right there have, in fact, almost all. But though this is not a wiring harness for it, I just bought this connector because I want to see if we can be able to get it back to the way the manufacturers have did it. But right now, it's dawning on me that there are some other things that this system is missing. Like if you look right here, let me take you. You can see that this condenser is not actually for Audi A4. This is for Toyota Camry 2000 model, 98 2000 model. Let me show you the Camry that owns this condenser. Okay, this is the Camry. You can see the condenser right in there. Let me still show you again. You can see the condenser right here. So this is the condenser that owns the car that owns that condenser. So this is Camry model. But I like this condenser for one reason, because this condenser is more like a model. It can't die. So that's the one which they're using, converting that the one for that Audi right there. So I'm going to be telling you some of the little process you're going to be involved in. Suppose you want to do like I did, because that condenser is so reliable. It is a model. And why did I say it's a model? I'm going to be explaining to you in a detail shortly. Okay, over here on the Audi A4 2006 model, the first question which I want to be asking, which most of you are going to be asking, is why do you need to bypass the pressure sensor? Why do you need to bypass the trinary sensor in the first place? Okay, if you have that question right at the back of your mind, you can see these wires that I'm showing you right here, which I'm going to show you again. This wire right here, the technicians have chopped it off, and there is a lot of other couple of wires that have been messed up with inside the system, like this one right here. If you see underneath here, that's a lot of Christmas tree right there. I'm gonna show you two more. You have another one right here, and you have another right here. So in this situation, if you fall in this kind of situation, or even less, but you still, the problem that most times will come up with this is that the system wiring has been messed up with big time. And so troubleshooting why there is no power can be very nagging. You can see right here that there is no any refrigerant inside the system, which is in the first place gonna be the reason why the system didn't work. But aside that, I can look up for myself and see that the compressor that I've been mounted here has a clutch. The one that came with this car definitely don't have clutch, because it has a solenoid control system. So that comes to the second reason why bypassing the system is going to work, and what you're going to be needing. So here I'm using a Toyota Camry, which I told you that the condenser is a model. And the way the design feature of this is very impressive, and that's what makes it good when you want to create some bypass or you want to convert some system. In as much as to get this working, you need a condenser like this, if suppose you can find a fit for that very car. Because in this case, we're talking about moving off the grid from what the manufacturer of that very car has actually instituted to establish our own. All right, so in that case, this condenser here is a very good one for it because it is engineered like a serpent. It goes from here to there, here to there. You can see we actually changed a lot of things in this car, the apron, the headlamps, you know, but I wasn't done then. But the condenser is the main crucial part which I'm looking at here, and you can see also did a brazing job right there. So if you want to know how to do a brazing job, you want to click this the subscribe button to my channel, because I'm going to be teaching that soon. As a service technician or AC mechanic, there's going to be a point in your life where there's going to be a leak and you might not have a resourceful place closer to actually get those pipes, so you'll be needing to do the brazing. You need a skill. All right, so like I said, this condenser I designed in this way, the way my hand is going, that is how it's going in serpent form. So at that, it makes it very idealistic that from when it goes in there through here, if you flush it from that very place, you can push the dirt from just this point here, which is the entrance point, the entry level point. It will go all the way and flush it. There's not going to be any residue inside and come out here. So unlike the new condenser, which these days if you flush it, it's gonna get it dumped where the desiccant dryer is to be. So you can see the sensor right here, the sensor port where it's supposed to be connected, and there is nothing in there. So the switch is not there, and the bypass is what I'm going to be teaching you guys today. So stay tuned as I go further in this. Now the compressor, when you want to make a bypass, you want to look out for compressor that have a clutch like this one. This one have clutch. It has actually a solenoid valve, but it's not electronics. Why do and you can see the shot which I'm giving you from underneath here. You can see the solenoid valve right there. It doesn't need power to be able to work, so it works manually. You want to have maybe a kind of compressor like that, or compressor that is fully fixed displacement when you're doing your conversion, when you're doing your bypass, because that is what's going to give you a very clear shot. And why? Because if you use some sort of one that have a electronic solenoid valve in that system, you're going to be having a lot of problems. The problem there is that the configuration to reduce the frequency variation as much as the voltage variation based on the information which the EC is going to be receiving from the ambient temperature of the environment is going to be a problem which someone like me will not want to go through, not even for once. So at that, it makes it idealistic that bypassing this sensor is going to give you all the whole power you need to even make the system to cool much more better than the manufacturers have actually engineered it. Because there is something you have to understand. That's why I said subscribe to my channel and recommend my channel to your friends. I tell you what, when my channel get to 5K subscribers, I'm gonna start pouring a lot of secrets on how to make car AC system cools ice cold. Seriously, ice cold. You're gonna be the one reducing it, right? In some case, you're gonna be the one turning it down completely. And until when we get there, I'm just gonna be keeping it a little bit, and you know, share what I can with you. But the deepest secret, there's a lot of secret about AC system which I'm gonna be sharing with you guys. And if you guys, most of you guys who really don't know me, seriously, I'm a wizard in this very field. So no matter how the AC does get ugly, I do get it back. So I know the pros and cons. I know exactly what to do when a system is throwing tantrums like a child or like a girl. I know exactly what to do to get the situation arrested, and boom, I give the customer warranty. And I will never flinch when I give a customer warranty, because I know exactly what I have done to the system. When it comes to leak issues, there are a lot of issues which I haven't discussed on how to fix, like solving the leak issues, testing the system after the setup. I haven't actually taught that, because it's a great secret. One of the most challenging job in a car AC system is to actually get the system to be airtight. It's not quite easy.
but I am very good at doing that too. So, and those are the secrets which I'm going to be revealing to you guys, showing you step by step how I do get those kind of things solved. And when you do that, you're going to be pretty much confident, either as a DIY or as a service technician who is working on car AC system to ends meet. So in this case here, we're talking about getting a compressor that is fully fixed displacement, and as soon as you get that, then you are second way up. Now the situation we're talking about here is when we have a system which either the trinary sensor have a problem or the pressure sensor have a problem. There could be problem from the climatronics, and if it doesn't send the right power to this very guy here, or doesn't receive the signal that is supposed to, there'll be no power going to the compressor, and that is where our nightmare used to start from. That's where your car will start blowing warm. That is where there will be refrigerant inside the system. Everything will just seem okay, but still the AC is not working, it's not blowing cold. So that is why, that's I think the number 3 reason why the system bypass, the trinary switch or pressure sensor bypass, is very important and very vital when you're talking about trying to rejuvenate a car AC system that flops, that is completely dead. Take for instance like this wiring that this guy chopped out here. Without a wiring diagram, most of you guys know that it's quite very hectic to actually get hands on wiring diagram. The manufacturers don't make anything easy. Not fixing the car is easy, not even dropping the wiring diagram for people to actually use and get the job done, they don't. And if you want to be buying the wiring diagram, these people are freaking insane. Every now and then they're tweaking it, they're changing it, which means that each time they flip it, you're gonna be throwing more of your money on you're buying new tools, you're buying new wiring diagram, you are doing, every now and then you're gonna be, your wallet's gonna be having a hole right there. So in this kind of a situation is where you cut all those bullshit off and you take control like a boss and deal with the problem that you have. And pretty much the customer is gonna be so much excited because most often time, having a completely overview of where to look out for to know exactly where the problem is coming from is the idealistic situation to be to solve or to render a quality service, or even arresting the situation that you're facing with the AC system. So we're gonna be proceeding further with this video here.
So on the bypass, which I was talking about right now, I've got the system working. You can see my gauge right here. I just recharged it. It's still plugged into the refrigerant right there, and the engine is working, the AC is working. But there is board right there. The board is, it hasn't started cooling the way I wanted it to, but it's gradually coming up because the whole the fan, the blower fan is all the way up. Now I really have a pretty time, a rough time getting this system bypassed. Now let me show you something, guys. You can see it right here. That's the pressure sensor, so it's fully bypassed. Fully bypassed. So for most of you who are viewing this right now, and I told you that this is for Toyota 2000 model condenser right here. I'm trying to check that it's warm, but it's not bringing the sensible heat I needed. Okay, it's right here. Here is so hot, but here is not, because it has undergone the condensation process which I was talking about very faster, and here is cold. Now for this very model, if you replace the compressor, this is a compressor, this is a compressor right here, and this is the clutch. So I've replaced it. Initially this one didn't work, and this is the type of compressor I can actually use to get into it. This is a sardine compressor. We can actually use sardine compressor to get this guy here working. All we're gonna need is to make a construction that's gonna be holding this second feet. This other one can be able to get in there, but this one is not going to. So this is where we're gonna be finding the next solution to get this sitting here on. So far, like I said, the system is fully bypassed. Now, what is the trick? A lot of you guys are going to be asking, how did I get a system working? But as I'm looking at it right now, it's not quite a relieving sight. You feel like as if the compressor is not quite working the way I want it to. I just hope it doesn't fail, but it fails. I really don't have any double mind about it. I'm just going to retire it and move on. Okay, on the engine side, I reviewed this engine, and I think it's giving me quite some little thing which kind of like, you can see the both side is steaming nicely, and that's one thing I want to see when I get an engine working, when I get it rebuilt. Okay, on the inside, this engine is vibrating much because the compressor is really pulling a heck of power out of it, but that's not my problem for now. You need more refrigerant. Okay guys, so the tip which I'm gonna be giving most of you guys, my viewers and subscribers out there, which is gonna be a plus to watching this video down to the last part today, is, you see that compressor right there, which is still this compressor right here. This compressor can be used on a Mercedes. It has the same seating, it has almost everything the same. Now for Audi, this Audi A4, and I think most of you guys who are having a problem with your Mercedes that is giving you issues and is throwing tantrums, so in watching this video you can be able to know that the compressor for Audi A4, I think it's a fit for Audi A4, is also a fit for Mercedes. Now the last tip which I'm gonna be giving prior to pressure switch, pressure sensor bypass, which is here, which I showed you guys, which I showed you when the engine was on and it was working. You can see here, obviously this is not a wire for it. I just use it because it has a 3-pin that connects perfectly. Prior to this, one last thing which I'm going to be sharing with you guys before I close the video is, I'll stop the video for now, and pending later is going to be, how did you get the compressor to power on when the system is fully bypassed? Okay, now here we go. So right here, this first one here, there gotta be two. One is always the ground, which is on the body like this, while the next one, like this one here, is where you're gonna be using to run a straight power to it. And so with one of it grounded like this, you're gonna be using this one to tap a long wire that's gonna be extending from downwards there, such as this. You can see I tap this one right here. And where is this one going to be going? In as much as the second one there is bolted to the body of the compressor, this one is going to be going to the positive terminal of the battery. When you do that, before you're going to be doing that, you're going to do that only when the car starts, and you want to make sure, you want to test if this compressor is working, if it is pumping, because you can't be able to manually test this normally in this situation because of this solenoid valve here, this non-electronic solenoid valve. So because of that, you want to make sure that there is enough refrigerant inside the system, at least getting to 100 psi. When it's within that 100 psi, or let's say 70 psi, let's say, now let me break something down here. In some cases, as soon as you fill the refrigerant and you get to 60 psi, it will stop. So there is one trick in order to be able to get it to up to 100 psi on a static pressure reading before testing it manually, running it directly, which I just told, running power straight up from here and getting it over here. So when the car starts up and the engine is working, you want to make sure that the refrigerant are getting inside. You flip the can the other way like this. You flip the can like this. If you stand the can like this, it's going to be just gas that are the gas that's going to be going inside. But when you flip it like this, at the initial stage when it's still at 0 psi, don't, like I said, don't do this when you have the wire, the second wire on the positive terminal, because when you do that, you're pretty much gonna be running down the battery. So you don't have to connect this. You have to make sure that you flip the can that you're using to gas this thing to get recharge this refrigerant. When it gets to 100 psi, if you flip it, the trick there is, if you flip it, the pressure inside the can is going to be getting more liquid into the system, and when the liquid gets into the system, it's going to expand. It's not going to be as when you just keep the can up. But when you flip it like this, you're going to be having a lot of liquid going inside. So if suppose this one takes up to 550 psi, that's a 550 gram. So the first 300 grams that you have in there should be okay. You should be trying to empty the first 300 grams that you have, or 400 grams, into it. So what I say you have to do that is, when you punch it, something like this, when you punch it and you open the can all the way up, instead of you leaving it up like this and wiggling it while getting it inside, you don't do that. What you have to do, you have to flip it like this at the initial stage when it's still at 0. So when you flip it like this, you're gonna be getting the more liquid into it. So it's gonna be going around 80 to 100 psi within the first start. That's getting you a right static pressure, so that when you get that right static pressure reading, then you get the engine on and the engine is running. Remember what I told you initially. So this one is coming from the positive part of the compressor when one is bolted to the chassis, to the ground. And here, you take this one here and you attach it to the prod. You can use a alligator clip, that would be fine when the engine is running. And when it's running, then you can pretty much focus your attention here. Probably the suction pressure is gonna drop while this one is gonna start building up, and that is when you're gonna start adding refrigerant. All right, okay guys, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Share with your friends, that now that you know how to be able to make some bypass when the system is not getting power, maybe there is a problem with the climatronics. Now if you don't know the reason why that bypass is very important, I'm going to show you just a little thing before I close up this video. Okay, over here you can see this is the climatronics. I don't know the people who have worked on it before, but I can see that they have actually made some bypass here. And when I try to use this is the air condition on, and this is the recirculation button. Even the automatic, none of this shit works. So do you know where the power button is on here? Is here, which is very weird. Now none of this button works. So in that kind of a situation, how would you expect this to send power to the compressor? So it's not going to send any power right there. So if it doesn't, then you're going to find whatever you're going to do, maybe as a service technician or a DIY, to get a compressor powered on. So guys, I gotta catch you guys later. This is Dr. Quarter Fix. Bye for now. Bye. And don't forget what I say, share with your friends, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.